see here. Okay, I think this is recording. Anyway, yeah, when I do this part, I'm gonna have to ignore you and focus more on this one, because I'm feeling that when a blamer said, make no mistake, there must be no future for those that would slander the Prophet of Islam. And slander the Prophet of Islam is just basically point out things you feel are stupid in the Quran and Hadith. That means that this video will probably be yanked off, so I'm going to have to concentrate more using this one as my one I'll be paying attention to. Sorry. Okay, he added that the detection of the roll of sounds provided the final piece of the jigsaw to explain how rebels' large blue caterpillars survived in ants' nests and should help to guide conservationists in trying to save the endangered European mountain species. What's that have to do with ants knowing who Solomon was? Francesca Barbero, who? At the University of Turin said, quote, "Our new work shows that the role of sound in information exchange within ant colonies has been greatly underestimated." If they have, well, I tell you what, if the ants have words for Solomon and troops and dwelling places and parish and crushed, well, you think? Karsten Schonrog, who? Of the Center for Ecology and Hydrology at Oxfordshire. Ooh, that's really impressive, you know. Ooh, I tell you, that's impressive, you know. Said the mimicry of the caterpillars was so convincing that the ants afforded them higher status than their own young. And yet ants are smart enough to know who Solomon was? An existential threat he and his unaware soldiers posed to them? Really? They will even slaughter their own young to feed the interlopers when food is scarce. And that means they are smart enough to know. and that means they are smart enough to be up on current human events, knowing who Solomon was? How? So far all you've proved is that Proverbs 6 through 7 is true about ants not having commanders, rulers, and overseers. You know, I say this, obey Quran 1094, O Muslim, and come to me for my reading the before scriptures, like Quran 1094 says, before it's too late for thee. October 6, 2014, my girlfriend's birthday. It is you who should think, not me. Because if you do think, then it's hell for you, true? God has its own attributes that never change. Have you read Quran 5? Have you read Quran 4:15? Sounds like old Allah is in the process of making its Quran better. Or was it Muhammad? For instance, God, he never sleeps, like the Bible says about Satan. He never eats. He can do everything except have a son. Except shirk. He can't accept shirk. Except say it's more than one. That's all. Yeah. All it can say. All it can do is say more. It's more. In other words, all it can't even say it's more than one. Right? Nothing is like him. Nothing's like Allah. Well, a man is like Allah, for a man, like Allah, needs a consort to have a son. After all, the Quran says Allah can't have a son because it haven't a consort. Thus, Allah is like a man, and a man is like Allah. He doesn't shit, he is pure, etc. If Allah is so pure, why did Allah make it so all living things and with intestines shit? When you say God came into flesh, you mean that God now eats? Can eat, right? He needs to sleep. Even worse, imagine God shitting in the toilet like we do. Allah forbid. If so, then why did Allah have that happen? Why not make only plants that don't shit? Oh, is Allah a plant? Allah doesn't shit, and neither does a plant, right? So Allah is like a plant, and a plant is like Allah, right? I'll never accept a person who shits as God. This means he is impure. If so, well, whose fault is that? Who made it so most animals and people do shit? Who is at fault for that? I don't see how that makes one impure. It just means they need to wipe. If they aren't dogs and cats. You know, dogs and cats don't have to wipe. Thus, when you say God transformed into a human, he is not a God anymore. He is lower than God. Right. He is, as the angel says, made a little lower than the angels. So he can't experience death. But he's still fully God. This is how I understand God. For me, Christianity is a false religion, and I have watched hundreds of debates between great scholars in both religions, and always Muslims win the debates. No one can compete with Islam. No one can compete against Islam. How come I have a feeling that when you are watching David Wood or Sam Shamoon taking on, say, Shabir Ali, and I've watched a lot of videos, and I tell me Shabir Ali is the best at debating. Well, how come I feeling you skip what Wood and Shamoon say and only hear what Shabir says? Shabir Ali, how come I feel that you only watch what he says? By the way, speaking about ants, you said they are idiots. If they can't tell a butterfly, caterpillar, a food source for them, from their queen, well, what do you think? Once again, they are very intelligent. Again, if they can't tell a butterfly, caterpillar, food source for them, from their queen, really? Some architects even copied the architecture of ant colonies' structures and was astonished how it is resistant. How resistant they are, and how they implemented air conditioning to the colonies. That is not intelligence. That is instinct, programmed into them by God, like one would program a robot. An ant is basically a little robot programmed to behave a certain way. Where in all of that program is the chemical smell or vibration that would spell out Solomon? Where would it spell out Solomon for them? Think, O slave of the best of deceivers, think. Also, ant societies are far better organized than human societies. That's because they're biological robots in a collective programmed by God. Not like a human who is mostly an individual, who can cause problems due to being an individual. They have no jail, no thieves, no murder, no outcasts. Every ant do its job correctly without problem. That is not intelligence. That is instinct. And is programmed. All ants operate the same. It's instinct to stand at attention if the Quran seems distressed, not because some ant said, "Hey, oh, number 1005. If the queen starts shaking her booty, it means she's stressed. And if so, we stand at attention." And you can watch this video. It's a video called Ants Supernatural Intelligence. Glad y'all watch it. I enjoyed the conversation. You have your side and I have mine. But really, the message I want to transmit to you is this. If your house is made of glass, don't throw stones on others. And when Sharia is imposed and you aren't paying jizya tax for not having your patootie in the air 5 times a day every day on a prayer rug, then expect your infidel glass house to be in pieces or worse. Got it. Lastly, my advice is this. If you think that you are good and you can prove that Islam is false, why don't you have some serious debates with Muslim scholars, not me? Well, I watch debates of Muslim scholars, and so far everything they say seems to be fluff. It seems to be stuff I'm familiar with already. But I don't debate Muslims. I just ask Muslims questions, like I'm asking you. Or ask someone else on YouTube. Have debates in public where you will speak and your opponent will reply. You can have debate with Sami Zatari or Shabir Ali and many others. Why not? Well, I tell you what, I think debating is a waste of time. For those who watch the debates usually skip, and the reason why they're a waste of time is because those who watch the debates usually skip what the opponent to their champion says, and instead they go to what their champion is going to say. I feel it's better to interject my thoughts with Muslims, to question them and get them to think. It holds a mirror up to them. And to place it on the internet so others can read both sides in my questioning technique. So far, no Muslim interjects their thoughts with my words, and I find that perplexing. I wonder why. Bye. See you in the next debate. No, you'll see me in our next exchange. By the way, I uploaded some of our exchanges to YouTube in play form. Check it out. You and I have a little video series going called Allah's Messenger versus the Ants. And I think that's it right now. I better stop it here. Bye.